Sorry, I'm drunk and I interrupted you.
I was not reading that at all, so I thought that we had talked about that. So
okay.
never mind.
We should all get drunk next time if we record remote.
Oh, God, if only.
Just a little day drunk.
Welcome to Recapping Romantasy, hot takes on hot literature. Who are we?
We are me, Emma.
I am Tabitha.
And I am Maura. Recapping Romantasy contains mature content from fairy smut to dragon rider torture to monster genitalia. Be sure to check the episode notes for content warnings and the links to our socials.
I didn't really think of anything for an opener. We're recording from home and I'm a little day drunk, so.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. See, I've got my commemorative Taco Bell 1983.
Goddamn. I didn't know. I would have
search for Spock glass.
Had I known, I would have gotten
Amazing.
one of my lemonade beverages.
I know, that's exactly what I was thinking. I took Adderall. That's like the opposite of being day drunk, I feel like.
Here I am drinking my sparkling water like a total suburban mom.
I find that taking an edible makes me go a little nonverbal, so I thought that probably wasn't the best for a podcast.
Yeah.
So.
I was thinking maybe we could try one day and see how bad it is. Like on like if we ever do trope sods again or something. But
Yeah, maybe if we start playing that game.
Well, and we gotta do it quick too because our state wants to ban weed again.
What?
Oh my God, I know.
Yeah, it's a like House bill right now.
Oh God. All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'm
just
tired.
ignore it.
Yeah,
Stock up now.
yeah, exactly. Stock up.
Lord. Okay.
So what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about Lore of the Wilds by Analeigh Sbrana, which is, okay, I don't know if many people know this book, but we're going to get into an overview real quick to tell you what it's about before we dive into why we are reading this.
It was very briefly popular on TikTok.
Extremely briefly. So basically, here's the summary. A library with a deadly enchantment, a fey lord who wants in, a human woman willing to risk it all for a taste of power. In a land ruled by ruthless fey, 21-year-old Laura Alamayu's village is trapped in a forested prison. Laura knows that any escape attempt is futile. Her scars are a testament to her past failures. But when her village is threatened, Laura makes a desperate deal for a fey lord. She will leave her home to catalog/organize an enchanted library that hasn't been touched in 1,000 years. No fey may enter the library, but there is a chance a human might be able to breach the cursed doors. She convinces him that she will risk her life for wealth, but really she's after the one thing the fey covet above all, magic of her own. As Laura navigates the hostile world outside, she's forced to rely on 2 fey males to survive. 2 very different, very dangerous, very attractive fey males.
Well, yes, of course. What other kind are there? There's
There's no such thing as an ugly fae.
Never. So when undeniable chemistry ignites, she's not just in danger of losing her life, but her heart to the very creatures she can never trust. Yeah. Okay.
You tell me that we're about to read a book about someone cataloging a fairy library and I'm going to be like, hell yeah. Are they using RDA? Are they using Dublin Core? What are they doing to organize this fey library?
I will say I don't read the blurbs ever for our books. I just trust that we have good picks or they're terrible and it's going to be fun reading them. This is my first time reading this blurb, and I don't think that's the book that we actually read.
The reason why I read the blurb out loud was I want to be able to compare what the book thinks it's about versus what we get from the book, which I don't think is the blurb at all. And I don't think this is unusual. No. So okay, why are we reading this? Maybe that's a good thing to talk about right now, because we had such a long conversation about this book, whether we would read it, whether we wouldn't. Spoiler for the episode, I guess, but we have a lot of critical thoughts about it that I think generally deconstruct the state of the publishing industry right now. And maybe we're totally off base regarding these thoughts, but we want to talk them out. So I don't know, fair warning.
Yeah.
I think the fact that one of the reasons we wanted to read it is because it has a fully black cast.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
And I think the issues we have with the book have absolutely nothing to do with
No.
that. The issues are, as something to keep in mind through this episode, that we all think the issues are editing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like the book got a really big boost on Book Talk, which is great. The cover is beautiful. It has a fully black love triangle, which I don't like love triangles, but I'm willing to give that a pass. And it has this fun message about finding your power, and I think that's great. But like, people are really hungry for more Black romantasy, and I was just like, yes, hype about Black romantasy, let's get into it. But then I was just like, what is going on here? And then I looked at the Goodreads, and it was like 3.36 star average, which is kind of middling. And when you see that sort of average, you kind of think, okay, people either love it or hate it. But no, it's mostly people who are like thinking about it like us, like, what happened? Like, we wanted this to be amazing, but we got this weird execution and we don't know what's going on.
Well, it is nice after all the stuff we have read where they make, and I know we talked about this in Onyx Storm, how they make the male love interest ethnically ambiguous in a really like pussyfooting sort of way, to just have a book where it's like, no, these are people of color, like for sure, 100%. And we're like, oh, how nice, how refreshing. Like I said, I don't even blame the author for the way the direction this book went.
No, I think like my main thought about what happened here is that I think she submitted this to publishers in a certain way, and I think the publishers made it what it is, and in an attempt to kind of chase after these romantasy trends that I don't think the book originally was. And maybe I'm totally off base here, but like young adult is having a rough road in publishing right now. It's getting really shoved into this new adult trend where like young adult's really hard to publish because it's just like, if you're not going to break out and be amazing, too bad. You're going to be something else. And I think this was originally a young adult book that got pushed into new adult.
Yeah,
Let's be real. In publishing right now, people want boobs and dicks.
They do. They really want boobs and dicks.
And look, sometimes I enjoy boobs and dicks too.
And you're not going to get that in young adult.
Right.
And there are reasons for that, right? Like, because it's looking for a different audience. And I just don't think things meshed really well with this book.
No.
I think it wanted to be something else. And I think whoever bought it, and well, I know who bought it, but you know, the people who bought it wanted it to be something else entirely. And then a lot of things got messy. And I think this is a really good example of how publishing can ruin a book. And maybe even of an author's career, depending on what goes wrong, which I think in this book is almost everything.
Yeah, so. I will say I will not read another book in this series, but if the author were to go to a different publisher and do another unique book, I might try it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like if Analeigh Sbrana writes a young adult book, like a real young adult book, and they let her do that, I think she'd do a really good job.
I think this could have been a really good young adult book. I mean, I'm not a fan of young adult anymore as an actual adult.
As a dick and boob lover.
Yeah, right.
She's the most dick and boob lover of us all.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I just think we need to stop. Just let young adult be young adult. Like I'm not into the themes of young adult. I think that's like my main beef with part of this, and with like I got into this with Fate of Inked in Blood because I think it suffered from that too. Like it was that finding yourself, finding your power thing, which is like very coming of age story, and I didn't like it. I have already here. I have my own. I keep my own peace. I don't need someone to like give me my power back. I'm old.
Yeah, I mean, I think young adult has its place, and
yes,
that's for young adults. That's for
it is.
We all go through the stage of like learning who we are and who we want to be, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, and stop putting dick and boobs in here, or like a random F word, like just just
maybe
like, let
maybe
it
fade
be.
to black.
Right. No,
Yes.
you can have those things in young adult books, but it has to fade to black. Like we cannot have that.
Yeah. I think the two scenes that feel really jarring, which are like the one sex scene we're going to talk about, and the other like very jarring kind of like horror-esque type scene. I think if both of those were like fade to black instead of the description that they were given, this would have been a great book. Great young adult book. I could have gotten over some of the other like BS that was happening in here of like 800 million things going on at once, but none of them actually mattering. Like,
yeah, see, that's what I said. I think the core issue is editing, as we will see moving forward, the way that we really, really jump around and can't get a handle on it.
I know. There's a lot of jumping around and attempting to understand what's happening, and then like, no, there's no attempting to even begin to understand because it's so disconnected.
I read this last. This is the last thing I'm going to say.
I read this like 6 months ago.
I know.
Yeah, that's why it's taking us so long to get to it, because I couldn't get into it, and I was like pleading, like, please, do I have to? And they're like, yes, you
Like,
do.
yes,
have
yes,
to.
you
I was
do.
basically like, I didn't read this book for nothing. We are going to
Yeah.
talk about it.
And their advice to me was like, just let it wash over you. So I listened to it while I was doing other things. Like I moved recently. So this and Onyx Storm I both listened to like at a clip faster than I normally do. So there's pieces where like I just don't remember because I was like off in another world in my brain. So
And that's fine.
yeah,
You
but it
don't-
didn't help.
you
It
don't
didn't
do
help
the
that I
notes on
couldn't
this.
like.
I did all those notes, and
Yeah.
you just have to let it wash over you.
Yep.
Which is what the listeners have to do today. Just let it wash over them, and then you can determine whether or not this makes sense at the end.
Doesn't.
Yeah, does it? No, it doesn't. But that's fine.
That's
We're gonna
okay.
go through this, and for those of you who want to follow along, please do. So, okay, chapter 1. We get into it pretty quickly here with Laura Alameyu, who is a human living on a planet called Aletheria, in a depressing human town called Duskmere. So originally humans were from some place called Shahasa, but they were banished to this world by the gods as some kind of punishment. At least that is what they believe.
Those first two sentences, I think, are why people hate fantasy. Like, I read the book and it still sounds like gibberish to me. Like, Blee Blue Blurb from Quexton, a sad town in Sninkesium is a human. And there's Fae. Like, that's it. Like, I get it why people don't like it now.
You know, it took me a really long time to get into fantasy, and I think that is why.
Yeah. There's so many names to remember.
Yeah, so many
Oh,
names
no,
and
I
like
love it.
so many
Yeah.
like weird like clothing choices. Like, what is a jerkin? Like things like that that I just really couldn't get over for a really long time. And I don't know. Then suddenly all these things clicked, and here we are.
Yeah.
No, that's what I love about fantasy and science fiction. Like, yes, please tell me about a world that is not this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll follow along with the silly names.
Yeah, I think as I got older and I became more jaded, fantasy became obviously my genre of choice.
I
Yeah, same.
also really like the speculative angle of it. The sort of like, let's imagine a world that works in a different way and see if this makes any sense to us.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I like it. I'm part of a podcast.
You are.
But I'm just saying that sentence when I was reading it, like as you put it together, I was like, okay, I get what people don't like fantasy.
I mean, some
'cause
some
this
books
is, like,
do it
gibberish
worse than others.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just like info dump in the first chapter.
Yeah.
So Aletheria is populated by Fae. That's the native inhabitants. Laura's parents are dead, and she works in this apothecary owned by her aunt and uncle. They also make candles there and copy books by hand. So it's kind of like an everything goes sorts of place. She's talking to her friend Gray, who wants to leave Duskmere, but Laura warns him off. Fae sentries make sure that no humans can leave this town, and she should know she was caught leaving town when she was 18, a mere 3 years ago. So she's 21. Anyway, she's working at the apothecary, and this all ends when two Fae wander in.
So it appears in this story to us that this is the only colony of humans that exist on this world. Like, they were transported here, and the Fae of this planet were like, ew, gross, and they put them in a camp.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where we are.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's all just like a metaphor for slavery, right? Like, or am I just being too like obvious or
No.
obtuse here?
It's definitely about othering of an entire group of people.
I do think there is a big othering portion here, like we're othering other people, and I think that does kind of come off as a slavery metaphor.
yeah.
I think the entire library section of the book is about othering and like coming to not terms with that, but kind of Laura's own understanding of that being brought to her attention.
Yeah.
But once we leave the library, it gets muddied, and I don't really know where it goes after that.
Yeah,
But
that was
The
kind of
library
like-
section was the best part.
yeah,
Also, she's 21.
she is 21.
Completely
Yes.
unrelated, but that's insane. I thought she
Yeah.
was like 17 this whole book.
Exactly. She comes off much, much younger than 21. I would say 16, honestly.
I was
maybe
gonna say
even younger.
17 is being generous, like
Yeah.
like generous,
Yes.
maybe like
Yes.
14, but okay.
Yeah, so okay, the Fae are like, ugh, this place is gross. Laura is shocked that they're here because Fae don't go wandering to Duskmere unless they're collecting taxes. Of course, they're beautiful and wearing lace and such, whereas Laura is wearing a patched up dress that is basically as old as she is. She also thinks of them as male and female fae, so we've got some SJM brand fae dynamics here.
I hate this so much. I did like an insane amount of thinking around this. I was also a little high when I wrote these notes, so that's probably why.
Here we are, just high and drunk all the time.
Yep. This is the Lord's day.
This is how you survive Trump's America. But like, the female and male fae is just like so weird. Like, I'm not a person of science, like, but doesn't that language make them seem like they're just like a totally different species? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would they like? Why would they
It's
just
very
be different?
dehumanizing.
Yes, like is that like blah, blah, blah. Is this how we would treat Neanderthals if they were still around? Like the male Neanderthal, like that's bad too. I don't like it. Like, what did Tolkien do? Like, he was sort of a linguist, you know. Like, did he ever say like male dwarf or female elf? Like,
No.
I hate it. I hate it. Stop. Like, can we just think of better words?
It seems like once you acknowledge somebody's humanity, like the humanity of another species, be they elf, tiefling, whatever, you should find a better word to call them that acknowledges that humanity, because male female does sound like animals to us.
Right.
So Lore interests these fae in buying a copy of a book that she has because inexplicably their friend likes human things. She price gouges them, so good for her. They mutter about wanting to see the owner of the shop, that they might have found what they wanted. They are total mean girls about this, though, and then an earthquake hits out of nowhere.
Yeah, I had like a whole line I was writing about how this earthquake felt very random, and then I was like, when are earthquakes ever not random? So isn't that kind of the point of weather, is that it comes out of the blue?
I did have a moment where I was like, interesting. I was imagining them living in a deciduous forest, so I wonder what sort of fault line they're under.
I had the same thought. I was like, they're in the woods, so there's, I don't know, maybe it's just because our woods doesn't fall on a fault line.
Yeah, then I told myself, it's another planet, let it go.
Yeah, just let it go. It's this earthquake appears and it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fine for all the humans, but you know, for the purposes of plot, great, an earthquake. Yeah. Okay, so chapter 3 is a bit nuts. There's lots of moving parts in this. So first we have the earthquake. Laura gets out of the apothecary well enough and finds Gray. Duskmere is destroyed. She runs into her aunt and her uncle's home, where they shelter orphans. They just have so many things going on, these people. Everyone is fine, but the orphanage is in ruins, as well as their winery. So they have many things going on.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that piece.
So we're dealing with a major loss of life event with major devastation, but no worries, the kids are fine.
Do you think they make the kids pick the grapes?
I'm sure. What else did they...
Isn't like Lore one of the only ones who knows how to like make the wine or something? Or am I making that up?
I think she knows more about the books than other people.
Yeah, she's the one who can copy the books. She's the mostly over in the apothecary, as far as I remember. So, okay. These are hardy children used to emotional trauma. They laugh in the face of natural disaster.
Yeah, there was a lot in this part about kids, like how much Laura likes kids. It really did nothing for me. This comes up a lot to, like, I don't know, build empathy or interest in a character, like how much they're into kids. I feel nothing. I'm dead inside.
There was a lot about the kids here. Like we barely needed to know their names. They basically only come up now, and she's like, oh, and this is so-and-so who we met in this area, and this is their brother, and this is all this. There was like paragraphs upon paragraphs about all of these children. And then like we never see them again.
Yeah, we don't. She thinks
I
about
think like
them.
at the end. Yeah, she thinks about them.
She thinks about them, and then I think they do show up at the very end. But yeah, there is a lot of like Laura loves kids, and this strange Milo child really loves her, and and it's just like a great bond that they share, and that's what we have there. So they all go to sleep. In the morning, 2 fae sentries appear, wanting the owner of the apothecary to come with them. Laura says she's the owner since the orphans need her aunt more than her. So off she goes with the sentries, which is how she finds out that the woods around Duskmere have a spell on them to make people irrationally afraid every time they walk out of the town. Once they're through these woods, Laura realizes everyone in Duskmere is being kept there with a spell.
Kids aside, I was actually relatively confident at this point that this book would be interesting. More fool me.
Same. No, I thought that this would actually be interesting, but then it started getting super weird, and I was like, oh, all right, well, maybe this is going to be interesting in a different way. So
Like, I really liked that like the people weren't being held there through force necessarily, but through magical gaslighting.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
I had no hope here. I was like,
Early on, she quit.
I did honestly. I get a little more hopeful when we get to the castle with all the fae. I don't know, maybe just I don't know, the riches, the beauty to convince me. But yeah. So next chapter.
Okay. They get to the Aletharian city and go to the castle, where she's taken to the office of Steward Vinelake, which is quite the name.
Yeah.
She's told that they have a library that is spelled, it was spelled 1,000 years ago, to not let anyone from Aletharia inside. Since she's a human, the theory is that she can go in. The library needs to be arranged and cataloged and cleaned. The whole thing. So Lord Cyrell walks in with eagle wings. He was the dude that showed up in the apothecary earlier, and he promises her that if she does this for them, then they'll send help to Duskmere. Vinelake tells her this will take all winter, but he'll spare her some money now so, like, you know, she can get some personal stuff at the market. But if she starts slacking, it's back to the woods with you, young lady, alone.
Oh no.
Again, this is interesting to me. Like, I personally would deeply enjoy this. Like, what? I can't live in my hovel anymore. I got to live in a palace and organize a library.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, so awful.
Yeah, Maura, do you remember when I read The Historian and it made me absolutely lose my mind?
Yes.
Basically, like, that was also a story about somebody getting offered a super cool library job for someone who was kind of evil and then just, like, fucking up the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, on purpose? Like, they fucked it up on purpose?
Well, in The Historian, it's basically a guy who, like, you read this, like, massive fucking book and you get to the end and you find out that this guy's basically being offered a job working for Dracula.
Oh, okay.
As his
Spoilers
librarian.
for the historian, I guess.
Librarian for Dracula.
But yeah, like
that's
working
cool.
with his rare book collection and like finding materials that like they didn't even know still existed. But like Dracula's evil, so I can't possibly do that. And I was like, bitch, I've worked for the federal government. I would absolutely work for Dracula.
I was feeling positive at this point. Like the first couple chapters, I was like, this is sort of boring. I don't care about these people, but there wasn't like enough of like a mystery to drive the plot, I think. Now there was. And I was like, okay, cool. We're in this library. We're looking for stuff. I don't know what. She's going to be, you know, getting money, exploring new places. This sounds cool. And then I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still a mystery, right?
Yeah.
So Laura gets to go into the library, which is this giant wing of the castle, mostly cut off from the rest of the complex. When she gets inside, after like happily finding that she survived walking over the threshold, she sees utter chaos. Like all the books have fallen off the shelves, which are made of stone, which seems impractical. She locates a bunch of random rooms filled with things like cleaning supplies and weapons. And mind you, this whole area hasn't been touched in 1,000 years, so I'm going to assume it's magically, hermetically sealed. And that's why it's not dust at this point. I don't know. Anyway, she mostly just explores the space before someone comes to get her for dinner. She's a pariah in the servants' cafeteria. I envision this like very Mean Girls Katie eating in the bathroom by herself. She gets weirded out by this hot antler dude staring at her from the trash bins, and then she spills her hard cider.
I like it when romantic interests have something like weird going on. So I was very into the antlers in this book.
Are you okay, Emma?
I just remembered. I'm sorry. I just remembered my friend. Obviously, the ADHD meds are not kicking in. My friend at my new work, we were talking about how like we can't tell where people eat lunch. And I was like, I don't know if people eat in their cubes or like if they eat like in our cafe, like little area doesn't have a table. And she was like, my first day here, I ate in my car.
Yeah. That's what
like,
Laura would have wanted to do.
Yes. Yeah. Like the most catty hair and like bullshit ever.
everybody used to do that at my old job because it was such a toxic work environment. We would all just be sitting in the same lot together eating in our cars.
That is so sad. Okay.
I love eating lunch by myself. Like I need that antisocial moment, you know.
Yeah.
I can't be answering teens messages 24/7. I just need to like be in my little cube closed off eating my little sandwich.
Oh man. So
Sorry.
when Laura tries to clean up this hard cider, everyone is like, how dare she? Who does this bitch think she is? So she runs away. No one is there to guide her back to her room. So instead of ask for help, because she was told not to bother anybody, she just aimlessly wanders the hallways.
Honestly, very relatable. I would do the same thing.
Yeah. So the dude from the trash cans finds her as she's wandering the hallways deeper and deeper to the point that any rational person would have turned around by now. The dude is like, we should have fired the girl who took you to dinner. And also, you're an idiot. Did you not notice how shitty this is getting? So he calls her Mouse, which seems to be the beginnings of a nickname, and leads her back to her room.
This nickname should have been a red flag for me, but I ignored it just like Lord does. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like you can tell a lot about someone by what nickname they give you or like, but what nickname their friends give them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
For example, no one really calls me this except for my dad, but he calls me Pokey Puppy, which I'm forever late to everything, so feels very apt. But like, I also have a worse nickname for my family. They used to call me the evil twin when I was younger, so I was like a very angry child.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was that undiagnosed ADHD.
Probably. It could have been that, you know, the lack of therapy.
Yeah.
So I have been repeatedly told that the reason I have never really had a nickname is because I'm too weird and unique, and people just call me by my name because of that.
Interesting. I've never had a nickname either. Just, I don't know
No.
why, but yeah.
I don't feel like our names really like lend themselves to nicknames. Like Tabitha.
Most people don't know another Tabitha, so
Yeah.
Same with Maura. Most people don't know another Maura. Yeah.
Now there's 100 Emmas walking around.
Yeah,
They're
Emma
just-
got
there
super
are.
popular in the past year, but they're
know.
like, 5, so you've got that going on.
Well,
that
when
was
I was
actually a big fear of mine, like still that my name will suddenly get popular. Apparently I was almost named Hannah, and that did get really popular
That
a
one
few
did get
years ago.
popular.
you
Yeah.
do not seem like a Hannah. I'm so
No.
sorry. Like the furthest thing from a Hannah. That would be like calling you like Katie or something. Like
God, can you imagine
just-
what I'd be like as a Katie?
no. You'd probably go by like Cat or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you'd be a cat for sure. So the next day, this antlered dude appears at her door and gives her time to wash and get dressed. The implication is he had the girl fired and is now the one who will escort her around. During her bath, she realizes her hair is knotting and she needs cream for it, and there's no cream.
For someone with curly hair, I enjoyed this little aside. I mean, I don't have the same type of hair that Laura does, but all these like female leads in these romantasies have this like pin straight hair that it never has this problem when they're held captive. They just like wake up and it's beautiful. Like they just somehow have perfect hair with like the slightest wave, like all those Mormon influencer moms do. And I'm like, can't relate ever.
Yeah, if I didn't have access to conditioner, my hair would be a fucking mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the dude takes her back to the library where 2 children are waiting for them. This is Lib and Tarun, I think.
don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Just 2 children. They don't matter.
Do they ever come up again after this? Like,
They are only there in this
rarely.
beginning, and then they
Yeah.
totally disappear.
Yeah, they're only there because, Laura likes kids.
Yeah, she likes kids. And yeah, she communes with them, and they get like, I don't
because
know.
she herself is supposed to be a child, not 21.
Yes. That's why she can commune so well. So the dude introduces himself to them as Asher and to keep an eye out for him. And Laura believes this means he suspects her of being up to no good, which she's like, duh, I'm totally going to try to glean some info out of these books because I'm here for the magic. Turin has antlers like Asher, and Lib has tufts on his ears and tail. Apparently these fae are called dark fae. Laura ponders right here if there are dark fae, are there light fae? Anyway, maybe the answer exists in the library. Laura gives them a list of materials she needs, and Asher sends them dashing off. Laura decides to open some windows, and the view is phenomenal. Also, the earthquake didn't hit the city, which seems suspicious, but she doesn't think about that much because she has cleaning and cataloging to do.
Most of the time, the answer lives in the library. Support your local libraries, everyone.
I was just thinking,
Amazing.
I was like, That sounded
Amazing
very
plug.
much like an Arthur, like, use your library card type line. And it was. I'm here for it.
So chapter 8 is a long chapter of many barely connected scenes.
Yeah, this is where the book really started to fall apart for me.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening? None of this makes sense. None of this
Yeah.
seems like it matters. And
Yeah.
it's because it doesn't.
Yeah, so this is going to be rough. So just everyone hold on. Scene 1. Laura goes shopping. Some girl of Asian descent sells dumplings to her and Asher. Laura basically has a food orgasm, and Asher immediately gives her the rest of his dumplings. Then she buys a new outfit and stuff for her hair based on Asher's recommendation. The two bond over hair care. Then she's like, "Why are you the way you are?" And he tries to tell her he's not actually a sentry. He volunteered for this job when he saw her and she looked so lost. He is actually a lowly grounder, which in this world means that he doesn't have wings, basically. Laura's like, okay, sure. She says she believes him, but she's lying. Scene 2. The next day, the steward is waiting outside the library to be a bitch. He's like, "You aren't working fast enough. Why haven't you sent me any tomes and scrolls?" And he lets it be known he wants astronomy texts. And Laura's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Ah, you sweet summer child." When in fact, her entire people chart the sky for religious reasons.
There's something to be said about this part. About other groups of people may come out of discipline differently than you, but that doesn't mean they're stupid. I'm not sure if the author meant for that meaning, though.
No.
I think she did. I think that meaning was what she was going for. It's just that, like I said, everything in this book is really muddled as to metaphor. So you can kind of get like lost super quick.
I did.
So the steward tells her to broaden her search and bring him anything having to do with magic or astronomy. And she pointedly tells him, quote, "I'll narrow my search," unquote. I'm like, amazing. Good work.
That's great.
Okay.
I love that.
Then he tells her that next week is equinox and please don't mingle with the fae at the festival because you're repugnant. Asher tells her it will be okay, and suddenly is very cuddly. It seems sus. They talk about their favorite stories. Then the kiddos give her a present, which is a garland strung with pine cones for her hair. And I'm trying to imagine that these must be really small pine cones.
Yeah,
You know, her hair is going to get so tangled.
I can't think of the name of the tree, but there are like very, very.
Yeah, hemlocks. Hemlocks
Pine
have really
cones.
teeny
Yeah.
tiny ones, and they're so cute. That's what I'm hoping is involved here. So she goes to do her work and then whispers astronomy to herself, and then she hears a weird sound. She goes to investigate, and all the books start quivering. Apparently, they're saying astronomy, so all the astronomy books are shivering with excitement, like, "Oh, I got picked in the search query. This is the best day of my life." She is assaulted by a book, and that really wants her to read it, and she gathers 268 astronomy books for the steward.
This was cool. I was back on board in this.
Yeah,
one.
I like this. I was like, yeah, that's a cool way to search a library. Let's do more of that.
Yeah.
But scene 3, the equinox. She is sad, tempted by cookies in the kitchen, and thinking about home. And then she steals a bowl. Scene 4. She steals cookies from the kitchen and runs into Asher. He's like, "Hey, let's start over. I owe you an apology for my standoffish behavior before." And then he's like, "LOL, I said I owe you an apology, not that I'd give you one." So now I hate him.
He's so weird.
Oh, God. He takes her to an overgrown garden, and she gets the tingles when he pushes her on a spelled swing while thinking about the theme of the book, which is how terrible inequality is between
Okay.
magic havers and magic not havers.
The swing bit, so fucking weird. I
It
was like
was.
really put off by the swing. I was like, this is like we're 11 and like we're hanging out, or like when I was like on a bus and I like touched this guy's knee, and then we were like, oh my God, and then he touched my knee and I was like, oh my God. That's what this feels like.
Yes. It's very, very teenagerish.
some-
It's
yeah.
young adult. Yeah.
For something that's supposed to be new adult, threw me.
Yes.
Threw me.
Yeah. And I think this is honestly, if I weren't reading this for the podcast, I would have DNF'd it here.
Yeah.
Mainly because, I mean, these 4 scenes not connected whatsoever, and they're all shoved into the same chapter. And I was like, what is going on? Why is this happening? And I feel like it's doing a lot of heavy lifting with Asher. Like, I have no
Yes.
interest in him. He was just staring creepily at her from the trash bins. Like, that is my potential love interest. Like, I'm not buying this at all. He's not love interest status. So, Yeah, if anyone is staring at me creepily from the trash bins, I relegate them to that man is staring at me creepily from the trash bins and must be left there. I don't care how hot they are, right?
Yeah.
It's another one of those style of books where the dude is suddenly a love interest and like, bitch, how? Was it the trash? Was it the rude conversation?
Yeah.
Maybe you're just
rude.
like me and your slut for antlers.
Yes, super, super rude. Like, he's like, I said I owe you an apology, and I'm not going to give you one. What?
He sounds like that guy from Hey Arnold who was like always like wheezing behind the trash cans at Angelica. I don't know. I might have kept going at this point, but I probably would have DNF'd later when Lord like randomly is in love with another boy, and then I don't know. Even now, I was very surprised at Laura for having romantic feelings for Asher. Like, he's literally done nothing charming or romantic at all. He's just winning her over with, like, the proximity principle. Like,
Yes.
this book doesn't feel like it was set up for romance because he's just suddenly a guy that she likes.
Yeah. My other thing is I really don't think this was a romance originally.
No,
it just feels like it got shoehorned in. And I was like, I wanted a library
Like I said,
and magic.
If this was about a woman who had to catalog a magical library and nothing fucking else, I would have liked this book.
Just her creating her own, like, Dewey Decimal System. Like,
Yeah, that would have been great. Give me more of that.
yeah.
So, okay, chapter 9 is yet more of the same with chapter 8. It's just lots of weird, barely connected scenes. Scene 1 is Asher trying to chat her up on the way to the library, essentially like buttering her up, and I have nothing to say about that. Scene 2 is Laura in the library, and something calls to her. She stumbles into an illusion of a study and picks up a book that feels important but is blank. She suspects it's one of the magic books she's supposed to give to the steward, but she decides to tuck it away instead. Scene 3, the dining hall. Laura ponders how she was never alone like this back home, and then thinks that Asher's pouty lip is probably soft. I genuinely could not give less of a shit about Asher, so I was just like, stop trying to make me like this man. I don't like him.
No, I felt the same way. Like, again, it feels like we're doing all the work now to make him a love interest after the book already announced that he was a love interest.
Yeah.
Like, now he's being nice. Now she's, like, checking him out. Now he's, like, you know, around and helping her and doing sweet things.
Yeah.
And it was like, but she already basically, like, declared that, you know, he's the one.
Yeah.
At least in book terms, you know.
Yeah. So in this dining hall scene, they are inexplicably eating wraps.
At least it's not stew.
Yeah. So she ponders silently why she's not telling Asher that she found this book. She actually wants magic, not just like aid to build rebuild Duskmere. So Asher and Laura talk about coffee while I quietly die of boredom. Asher appears in his military garb and is like, hey, I'm leaving for a while. Try not to get lost or steal anymore. And then scene 4 happens. 2 weeks later, Asher is still gone. She discovers books about clans. She discovers that wings are the highest echelon and light fae do exist. Their ears are pointier and they don't have animalistic features. So the book says that dark and light fae are friends, but probably that's not the case now. And then she reminisces about Duskmere some more.
I literally didn't clock that this time, like that amount of time had passed.
Yeah.
Like until she ends up wistfully looking out like a window for Asher.
Yes.
Like a woman whose husband's at war. Like it didn't help that I was reading, like I was listening to it.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like all mashed together. And I was like, this has to be the same day, right?
No. 2
No.
weeks. 2 weeks passed. So then we get to the 5th scene. At this point, I'm losing my mind. She stole this magic book out of the library. Does Asher not matter at all? She just uses it as a journal, apparently, and she makes friends with a fox. Time starts to go by. I guess winter comes. Finally, someone knocks on the library door. Someone named Elra is there. She has been summoned. Lord Cyrell is there without wings now, because they can just come and go. He's like, hello, Lore. I have refreshments for you, and basically produces a banquet. He tells her construction on Duskmere is ongoing, and she stuffs her face with sandwiches. They have a rote conversation about how she hasn't found any magical texts and will absolutely work in areas she hasn't touched yet, and no, she won't take leftovers. Oh, well, if the kids bring them, that's cool. So she's like, yes, never mind. Do bring the leftovers. Bring the children with you. 6th scene now. So we're in scene number 6, chapter number 9. She is journaling. The book is hit with moonlight, and all of a sudden the whole room is in like swirling with stars. The study reappears. A voice asks her what she'd give for the power to know, like, you know, capital K, no. Laura classically says, "Know what?" And the voice, who is probably already exhausted, just repeats, "To know." And then, like, it also says, we see that you have a yearning for answers. We can give them to you. And the book thing says she can have all the knowing or whatever if she takes it from the castle. So we are leaving the castle, you guys. The book shows her that the Fae aren't helping Duskmere at all, actually. And she decides she's going home after pages and pages of exposition.
I genuinely did not remember that there was a disembodied voice until I read your notes.
I mean, at this point, I didn't remember that there was a disembodied voice either because it's been so long. But
yeah,
like I do know that this chapter, if the last one wasn't a DMF, this definitely would have been the DNF point, because I'm like, so much could have been cut. The author could have gotten to the point way faster. I mean, if she wants Laura to leave the castle with the book, she could have done that back in scene 2. Like, there's so much that could have happened to make this go faster. Instead, we got 6 barely connected scenes, and I was just like, why is this happening to me?
I mean, I'm still disappointed we're leaving the library. I'll spend the rest of the book disappointed in that.
Well, because it loses its whole purpose after this. Like, I have no idea where she's going or why after this point.
She doesn't either, so it's fine.
Yeah, she doesn't know.
Also, they talk about some war. I don't remember where within these many scenes you mentioned. Didn't Asher leave for a war? Or
He did.
later?
Yeah, so Asher left to go to, like, I don't know, the front or something. I think the Dark Fae and the Light Fae are at war, but we don't really talk about that at all.
No, I'm so confused about it. Like, why does he have to go? Was he drafted? I can't remember. It felt super random when I listened to it, and it feels random now.
Yes.
Like, maybe I forgot something important. I feel like a war is important. I should know more about it.
Right.
But instead, I don't know.
And apparently
Also,
it is important because the end of the book is totally about this war that's happening. Yet we don't really know what the war is or who it's with even.
No, I'm just going to say what everyone says when I have a complaint about the Fourth Wing series, which is like, it'll be explained in the next book. Every time I have a complaint, next book, she'll talk about it. Next book.
She'll explain it later. Don't worry about it.
Rebecca
in
has a
year.
plan.
All right, so Laura tries to leave the castle. Asher amazingly just shows up inexplicably back and holds a sword to her throat, which should clear up her romantic notions, and kind of seems to. She's like, oh, okay, I guess he's not feeling it.
Yeah.
He's mad at her for trying to leave and tells her to go back to her room.
I'm mad at him for coming back out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like, what? So others find them and they're like, huh, is this the human? Oh my God, it is the human. What's in that bag? This human is scum. And somehow Laura's like, wow, is this what they really think of me? Like, yes, bitch. Like, this has been the whole beginning of the book. So they assume Asher fucked her because he defends her, which I personally find amusing. Asher gets into a fight with the other Fae, and I guess Laura's like, oh wow, so romance or something. So in the past, just earlier, she was like, oh, I guess I don't like him. And now suddenly she's like, I think I do like him again. Oh God. Laura has to get the magic tome to save Asher, and the book gives her the power to suffocate the other guards with light. Then the book makes them invisible, and they run out of the castle and into the woods. Asher leads her to a cave by the ocean and makes a fire. He treats the cut on her thigh, because she has a cut, with chewed up leaves, which is super sexy.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, Emma, go.
Yesterday when I was doing my notes, and I was really high, I was trying. Okay, there was a piece of, there's some movie that I watched, and listen, if you're out there and you know what the fuck I'm talking about, and this is not just like me being so deep in my brain that I'm making shit up, please let me know in the comments, because There's some scene in some movie where they do this, where someone like chews up these leaves and puts it on someone's knee, and it's so good. It's sexy. It's great. It's amazing. I tried to Google it so many ways yesterday, and the only thing that came up on Google was that orangutans apparently do this. I did not. I did not have the word orangutan or monkey at all in my search query. It was just like chewed up leaves, heel wound, movie. Instead, the first full page of Google was like, orangutans apparently chew up medicinal leaves to heal their cuts. I'm like, that's great. I don't give a fuck about these monkeys.
Well, Google's trash, so that's fine.
So if you know what I'm talking about, I have no idea what I'm talking about. If it exists out there, please let me know.
I think you're talking about Aethelas, which isn't from Lord of the Rings. Aragorn does that.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
Thank you. I knew it was real. Oh, when is that? What movie? What movie does that happen in?
I think
or what
it's
book?
The first movie.
Oh, he does it to Frodo, right? Not even.
I think he does it to Frodo.
Still, it's hot because anything he does is hot.
See, when you said that, I was like, I do remember that being kind of hot, but I remember
Yes!
it not really meaning to be hot.
Yeah,
like I knew he didn't do it to a girl or something, so that's how I looked it up, and I looked because I was pretty sure.
Everything Aragorn did in that movie was
I know,
hot,
I was-
so
Exactly.
just walking was hot. You're like, oh God, that man. Just walk. Keep walking.
Do you think there's probably like good fan fiction around that scene?
Probably.
Maybe. If not, I'm going on there tonight. AO3. Frodo X Aragorn. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's good. It's good. I need to figure out where I was. All right.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's good. So Laura has a bunch of thoughts about the ocean and sinks into existential despair. She does a bunch of breathing exercises and decides to be powerful, like the ocean. She pulls out the book and tries to talk to it while Asher is somewhere, who the fuck knows. The book ignores her. Asher comes back and she's like, yeah, I guess I judged you too harshly. I don't know where that came from.
He's so weird.
He gives her some raw fish to eat, but thankfully sprinkled some herbs on it. She explains to him that the book gave her power and what's going on in Duskmere. Asher promises to help her get home, but they have to be like roundabout about it so they don't get caught.
She is going to get worms from that fish. Also, do you think he just carries herbs on him all the time? Just like a pocket full of oregano?
I hope so.
Like hot sauce in his bag, swag.
Yeah, that would make him actually more interesting, which he has no personality right now. So if he carried herbs in his pocket, that would be great.
Do you think, a little spoiler for later on, but do you think he gave her a raw fish because he doesn't know how to cook because he's like a little rich prince boy?
Oh, yeah,
well,
absolutely.
yeah, also that too.
He's a man and he's a little rich prince boy. Spoiler for the rest. But
Yeah. I think this chapter gets like to the crux of what is my beef with this whole book. And we just read Onyx Storm and talked about it, so like I'm comparing this to that a lot. Everything in the Onyx Storm feels so intense. Everything they do is like life or death. Like if they don't kiss each other, it's like they're gonna die if they don't do it. Everything in this book, so relaxed.
Yeah.
Everyone is so calm about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like Laura's like, oh, people are after me, guess I'll just like go clean this in for like 3 chapters. Like
have to cosplay as Cinderella. Don't worry about it.
Like this piece where they ran away, like they were being chased and they ran away and they're just like hanging out, thinking about the moon and the ocean, fishing, you know. Like, would you not run through the rest of the night? I know you have to rest eventually, but just
no, you don't have to do that.
let's have some urgency, people.
So they decide to go to another city, and while they're standing on the bridge getting eyeballed by the guards of the city, a tree falls into the river next to them, causing a tidal wave, which, thinking about the mechanics of this, like just the physics alone, is just like, well, how big is this fucking tree?
Yeah. I was picturing like a little canal, like
Right? Yeah, no.
I
So
don't know.
apparently all the horses that are on this bridge go berserk and they slip inside the city during this chaos.
Okay.
Which again, I'm just like, okay. So anyway, they go to a pub or / inn and get a room under the guise of being married. So, I guess.
Great. I was excited for this and then
Yeah, right? Like,
Never
okay, what are we
mind.
going to do here?
Nothing.
Laura gives him a speech about how she knows that he hates her and she wants to give her people a reason to start living instead of surviving, and how she's tired of him sulking, telling him to leave if he doesn't want to be here. Again, I'm like, where is this all coming from? I don't understand.
Who knows?
He kisses her.
It's a good way to shut people up.
It is, right?
I think that's what he was doing here.
Probably. So he tells her that he's just mad that he was so close to leaving service, which makes her feel guilty. A merchant family out of nowhere asks them to travel with them for safety in numbers.
At this point, I thought, I'm only about halfway through this book. So are we done with the library? Is she going home? What else is going to happen? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
The pacing of what's going on.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, he basically says, like, okay, I'll take you back to Duskmere, but we have to be super weird about it and go in like lots of weird concentric circles so that when the people who are following us won't be able to find us. So we're going to do it as weird as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
They go on a road trip with these merchants. One of the merchant's kids, which again, kids, tells Laura that Fae children are going missing. The family goes to sleep and Laura looks at the book, which is now showing things because it only works at night under the moon.
Right. Yes, the moon. I forgot the moon was important in this.
Yes, the moon is important. Asher throws some daggers at a stranger and picks up his swords, and like Laura's all like, ooh, sexy swords. And they start to fight. So again, like we're bouncing back and forth. Like, I don't trust you. Oh, hey, look, you're sexy. I guess I do. Oh, I don't trust you anymore. Oh, I guess you don't like me. Oh, wait, maybe you do. Oh, maybe you don't like me. Maybe you're just a brooding asshole. Oh, wait, maybe, you're sexy when you fight. So
She's just real horny, man.
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to talk about it later.
She's like, well, this guy really sucks, but kind of
yeah, but he's got antlers and he's hot. Like,
it's just because he's there, guys.
yes,
It's just because he's
he's
there.
the only
one
eligible
that's
man.
there. Yeah. He's the only boy that talks to her. That's why she likes him. That's it. That's the whole reason. That's it. That's the bottom of it.
Another two males show up and Asher's like fighting all of them at once, so you know that she's really horny. So the book doesn't help Lore, so that's useless. Asher kills two of these dudes and ties up the other. Lore assumes that they're there to kidnap the kids. Asher gives her some jerky, and she tells him she tried to use the book and it didn't work.
What do you think that's jerky of? Do you think they have cows here?
I don't know.
I was thinking like
venison.
Yeah, I was thinking deer.
If they have deer, who knows? It's another planet.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So he explains how he uses his magic, and she ponders if the people were there to steal the book, not the kids. So Asher goes to torture the other male to get that info. Male says that he was sent to kill Lore and get the book, but doesn't know who sent him. Ooh, so Asher takes the other male's money and slits his throat, like right there. Then Lore casts a spell from the book to show her anyone who intends her harm.
Does that, not to give it away, does that make sense with the events that happen at the end?
No, actually. I don't think that really went anywhere. I think it got lost.
Yeah, I think you're right. Also, I audibly gasped at the throat slitting. Like, it
I
felt
did too.
very violent. What feels like a G-rated book so far.
Yeah, I know. Everything feels very like written for a juvenile audience, and it's just like, oops, we're gonna slit this dude's throat like right here.
Yeah. I feel like I was watching a movie and there was like fights going on, which is fine and normal, and then randomly we got like a full shot of someone getting like,
yeah, it's like watching
shot.
someone get shot in the head. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I didn't
And
expect that in the Teletubbies.
Yeah. Yes. Poe just like pulls out a shotgun and aims it at the sun.
Yeah, who knew that was gonna happen?
God damn.
So Lore wants to learn self-defense, and then Asher makes swear to stab people sexy, and that's all I remember from that chapter. And then
Yeah.
this is where things get muddy for me. I'm like, chapter 15 through 17, I guess. I don't know. They get to this light fae city, they walk through the fancy district, and finally get to the shitty district. And a beautiful half-light fae female named Isla answers the door of a tavern and like picks up Asher, who wants to talk to Isla's dad. Lore sees the most striking fae male she's ever seen. A fae with no animalistic features, just like Isla. He is, in fact, Isla's twin. Welcome, real love interest.
When we say fae with no animalistic features, we mean wings or horns, right?
Yes, that's correct. He's basically like just a person with pointy ears. Yeah.
Does he have swirly tattoos too?
I don't
I'm
think
sure
he does.
he does.
Every fae male in
mean,
every book has swirly tattoos.
I don't think we ever see him with his shirt off, actually. Not in this book. God, maybe I want to read the second one now just to find out if he has tattoos.
I feel like you're going to have to read it.
Well, just borrow it from Libby, do a search for tattoo.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
get rid
that's
of
exactly
it.
what I will do. All right. Asher tells Lore to go get a drink while he goes and discusses big boy business with Isla's dad. Lore says, that was rude. And Isla says, let's go talk to my brother, because brother is the real love interest, remember?
At this point, I was not getting that he was the love interest. I thought he was just like an extra. And I realized it later and I was shocked. Like, hey, girls, gays, and theys of the world, you don't have to like someone who is mean and boring just because they're hot.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I clocked this instantly. I don't know what. I think it was just that he was the most beautiful fae male she'd ever seen. I was like,
And he was mean.
Yeah, and he was mean. Like both of those things together, hot and mean he's the real love interest in these types of books, which is sad.
I didn't clock it at all.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, wow, this guy's a dick.
He is a dick.
But again, I was listening to this at like 2 times speed, which I never do. I listen at like 1.25, like a wiener. And I was doing like a bunch of other things. Like things were definitely getting skipped in my little brain. So that was one of them.
So they order lavender and sage tonics, which sounds bitter. And the dude who's mean, his name is Findrill, or Finn for short, is an absolute asshole to her and basically says, like, don't you know who I am? And like, dude, you're a bartender in the shitty side of town. Maybe calm down.
Haven't you heard my podcast? Years ago, Starbucks had a holiday coffee flavored with juniper and sage. It wasn't terrible, but it was very odd. Still better than their coffee with olive oil in it, which,
Have
to
you
my
tried
credit,
it?
I never bought. I was given a free sample.
Oh.
Gross.
Have you tried coffee with butter? That's another thing that I feel like
And
is
no, I
disgusting.
refuse to engage with that.
No.
God, no, stop that. It's awful. I refuse.
It just seems like it would make you shit forever.
Like, it's already a diuretic. Let's not. Okay, so she gets drunk and decides she wants to sex Asher for some reason. Like, again, like back and forth, back and
Yeah,
forth.
now's the
What
time.
are you?
Listen, I feel that way when I'm drunk, so I get it. Again, very relatable.
That is totally fair. She is drunk. So Isla is like 5 drinks in and wants to get even drunker on whiskey with Asher until Laura like shows off her ears. And Isla is shocked that she's a human, especially the human they're all after. So Finn walks in, looks at her ears, and is like, what the fuck ever. Isla tries to get Finn to translate some old words in Laura's book, and Finn doesn't know them. He's also a complete dick about it. Everyone wakes up hungover. Laura spends a crazy amount of time on breakfast, which I apparently decided that I had to quote out right here.
Yeah.
So, quote, Laura washed her hands and one of the knives. And then, like, she details cooking potatoes and onions. Like, there's no oil and there's no salt. Well, let's saute this and we'll cover the lid so it doesn't dry out. And oh my God, what the fuck? This is exhausting. I was like, why are we doing this to me? Why did I do this to myself?
It's because nothing else is going on in this book and we need it to be longer. So we're going to talk about cooking when this person obviously doesn't know how to cook. Like,
No.
at least when we read about how like coin was minted in Tagay or Tagay, what I don't remember what we called it, but
Taste of golden iron.
no, I know. But at least like learning about how coin was minted was like plot relevant. Same with
Yeah.
like the shipping schedules of like these different books.
Yeah, this breakfast
what?
is not plot relevant at all.
No. Not.
No, it's just to show us she knows how to use a knife like a big girl.
Yeah, she knows how to
Yeah,
use a
but
knife.
she's not good at cooking. She's not
Well,
salted
you know what?
or oiled anything.
That's because the oil and salt doesn't exist. To be fair to her, it's not there. So she decides to
Wait.
saute this with no oil or salt because it's just not in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought this was like another Illyrians don't use spices type thing.
No, she's dismayed to not find any oil or salt. And apparently they don't have butter. They have nothing to saute this in, which is like, Laura, this is when you don't do it. Just don't saute the vegetables, okay?
Just boil them. Yeah.
Boil them. Do anything else. Maybe Maybe grill them. You could
Why
do
are we giving her
anything.
cooking advice? Like,
Because apparently this is what this book is.
we're like, listen, you want to cook a potato? We got 3 white people here who are of various Irish descent. We'll tell you.
We know potatoes, okay? Okay, so finally Finn walks in and is like, what the fuck is happening in here? Apparently it's all burning. Like, of course it would be, because there's nothing in there to saute it with.
Again, it doesn't seem like she's a good cook. Like, this is kind of amazing, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, so Lore feeds everyone this terrible, terrible meal. Like a trad wife she desperately wants to be, apparently. Like no one saw this coming. I was so confused about this whole thing. Then she's like, oh yeah, I am trying to figure out the book and need to get home. Who knew I was still doing that? So she then says, I'm going to go do the dishes. And then she wipes down the tables. So I was crying at this point in the book.
yeah.
And then she mopped the floors too, just to be like extra helpful. And she has completed her Cinderella trifecta, unfortunately.
Remember when we were in a magic library? That was nice.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It was fun. I mean, I can understand her wanting to like return a favor to these people who like housed her while she was on the run, and like being a good guest, you know, like when I'm at other people's houses for dinner, I'll be like, yeah, I'll help clean up, even though like I know they're gonna say no, or like I don't want to actually, just like showing I'm being nice.
Right.
But like, she like stays here for a long time after this.
She stays here for over a month.
Yeah, even though she was like, I'm on the run. I'm a fugitive. People were literally looking for me. We had to kill people 2 pages ago. But yeah, I'll be like, I'll help you. I'll be your maid. Okay.
Finn takes a break from being mean to insist on paying her for her work, which at least that's something. And she's like, guess he has nice eyelashes. Maybe I like him too.
Listen, men have the nicest eyelashes.
They
It's
do.
unfair.
They do.
It's totally unfair.
She refuses the money until he literally puts it in her hand, and he gets mad at her because that is his sole emotion. And then she takes the money. That was like 3 chapters, and I sincerely don't know where any of that stopped or ended. In any case,
Nope.
they were back into chapter 18 now. Apparently, it's time to take a bath again. Then they decide to go grocery shopping because we've forgotten we're in a book. The kitchen is empty, and that is the most important thing. We have to take a total loop of the market because that's necessary before we decide on purchasing anything. And Lore tells Isla, like, I have some business ideas for your dad. Why does the kitchen suck so much? And Isla talks about the tavern being mostly an eatery at some point, but Dad stopped caring for reasons involving some sort of history background that I did not absorb at all. So sorry about that. Sentries show up because when the character doesn't move the story along, the story has to do it for them. They drop their baskets. So, oh no, there go the potatoes, and run. She accidentally steps on a necklace and has the actual thought that she'll come back after this and pay the stall owner for it. And I'm like, sure you will, you adorable, naive tween.
Well, she's 21, so not technically a tween, but yeah.
Yeah. So she loses Isla somehow and jumps over a fence. And naturally, she falls down a very sharp slope immediately. And she's like, why did I take the risk of going to the market? Whoa.
Yeah, why did you?
Unknown.
I literally forget that people are looking for her
Yeah.
until the people who are looking for her show up.
Yeah.
Like, the book is not in a rush. She is not in a rush.
No.
I thought the people of her town are dying. That's why she's trying to go there.
Yes.
And she's like, yeah, but like, what if you just like spruced up this kitchen a little bit? I think
Yeah.
it'd be way more efficient if
Yeah.
you added like a double griller in here, double like you know.
She's like, we
You need
definitely need to
another
go buy some
oven.
oil and some salt.
Yeah.
And you definitely need potatoes because what is a breakfast without potatoes? Also,
Yeah.
have you thought of maybe upgrading like this section
Yeah.
over here and maybe
I'll-
like
I'll go to the market for you. I'll talk to the right people. I'll get the contractor set up. Oh wait, I think I'm wanted by the government. Like, Jesus, lady.
So she's running through the woods. She tries to attack one of the sentries with her little dagger and is disarmed immediately. Only it's not a sentry, it's Finn. He calls her a good girl. So there you go. And attacks the sentries for her. He kills 2 of them, and then there's only 1 left, which apparently this is also a very common theme. Gotta kill 2, but keep 1 alive. Who grabs Lore. Finn tells him he'll kill him for touching Lore, and she gets the shivers. Quote, a fire roared inside her when their gazes met, unquote.
Did you guys ever go on Homestar Runner.
How dare you ask me that as an elder millennial?
I
Go
just
on.
That
wanted to
came
make
out when
sure.
I was like 15.
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like that niche of of the internet. What was that sentence? Anyways, lore literally sounds like that one line from the Teen Girl Squad thing when the ugly one is like, "I have a crush on every boy."
Yeah.
Just like the second, she was like, "Oh, I love Finn." I was like, "The ugly one? Is that you? Is this Teen Girl Squad I'm reading?" Like, are you gonna get arrowed in a second?
Yeah, like she's actively in the process of somebody trying to kill her right now,
Yeah.
and she apparently gets distracted by, he looks so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets the shivers right there. And I'm like, dude, this is not the time.
He's like, "Good girl," and she's like, "Oh no, I wet my panties." Just ridiculous.
Yes, because then she headbutts the guard who stabs her, and then Finn kills him, and she's like, "I'm okay," and Finn's like, "I literally don't care."
Same thing.
Like, well, what a dude to have a crush on, right? So, oops, the blade was poisoned though. So he picks her up and takes her to a stream. She gets groggy, then feels like she's on fire, and then the pain stops and she sees Finn washing out his mouth. So the implication being that he sucked the poison right out.
You know they tell you not to do that anymore with a snake bite.
Just snake bites.
I mean,
Well, I guess
like what
people
else
aren't really
is-
being poisoned on the reg.
I was gonna say what else commonly happens? Like,
What about
We do have a lot of
spider bites?
poison
lot of,
daggers these
like,
days.
Yeah.
in our real world, yeah, a lot of us aren't getting stabbed by poison daggers a lot.
What about spider bites?
I don't know if that was
I don't-
ever an option for.
I don't
spider
think that was
bites.
ever an option because
I don't know.
usually you don't notice that you've been bitten by a spider until
Yeah,
well
that's true.
after. So, all right.
Thank God
Laura
we
flashes back to when she was a kid, thinking about why she always sleepwalks in the woods. And again, I'm like, what?
Yeah, not relevant.
Yeah, I was like, how? What? When did this happen? So apparently, she felt drawn to the wild wood as a child, which is being sprung on us just now.
Yeah.
It's suggested that she kind of used to have some sort of magic as a child, but again, this seems like something that if it's gonna be important, will come up in the next book because
Yeah.
it's totally not ever touched again here.
No.
She wakes up in the present and Asher is there. Isla is alive and nursing Laura back to health, and Finn carried her back to the house like the romantic hero he will eventually be. And Asher tells her that the wolf sentries are looking for her, and the wolf sentries are the worst. He's going to lead them away with Isla wearing Laura's clothes, leaving Laura behind with Finn.
Do you think they're called the wolf sentries because they like have wolf attributes, or just because
I think so.
this
Yeah.
is what
Do you
they're
think-
called?
Because
Do you
they're
think they have-
animalistic, right?
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
think they have the ears and the tail like a furry?
God, I
That's
hope
what
so.
I was thinking too. I was literally thinking of like a furry dressed up in like like a full suit of armor. Minus,
Yeah, like the little
head.
ears, everything. Like, oh God, I bet they're so cute. So,
Are you a furry?
No, but the little
Oh,
ears.
okay.
I'm thinking of like without the tail part. But like, let's
I thought
assume that they just have little cute ears.
Thought
God
you
damn
were
it, Emma.
furry in like a suit of armor, and you're like, adorable.
Like in this fantasy world where this stuff actually
Yeah.
exists, I think to themselves, if they have little cute ears, that might be adorable. But I'm not there for the tail and the weirdness that happens in our own world. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right, good. 6 days pass, and Finn reads to her. Laura only belatedly realizing he's telling her stories that he's made up, which again is supposed to be like, I'm a love interest.
Endearing,
I'm
okay.
making you up love stories or whatever. So she starts to get better and makes some mutton stew that she wanted to make before, which I guess is why she went to the market.
Here we go. It's stew time.
Yeah. So Finn turns into an asshole again about babysitting her. This is all done in exposition, by the way. There's no dialogue in here. For some reason, she's now the chef and maid of this place. She decides to go out into the woods at night with the book so she can start learning how to use it because the book is about magic, I think, and not culinary achievements.
But like, what is going on? Like, isn't she being chased? Like,
No,
isn't she
she's-
in hiding?
I mean, yes, both of those things are happening. It's just
But,
that
like-
now she just has to sit here with Finn until Asher comes back. Even though if the wolf sentries are after him as well, you would think that he would just be leading them right back to her
Right.
when he comes back.
She doesn't seem like she's doing a very good job of like being undercover.
No, no. Because
maybe,
she's like the front face of this restaurant now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to say. Like maybe being a cook would be fine. Like if you were in the back only and there's servers.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't seem like it. And
But
she's
she's
being
like
a
the
maid.
person-
Like it's a very front facing
She's
job.
like remaking this restaurant. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that people are coming to this place. People are like, oh, have you tried the new chef at the new restaurant? She's amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
Her name is Laura LeMay.
She's got weird ears, but don't worry about it.
I was like, she's a human. Did you hear?
Yeah. We're all fine.
Oh my God.
Insane.
So the rest of this chapter is like a montage. Time goes by.
Yeah, sure, why not?
She cooks. She cleans.
This whole book feels like a montage.
Yeah. She searches the book at night for ways to help, even though she can't read it, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what she's doing other than like admiring its drawings at night in the woods. She does some spells after matching plants to their pictures, but has no idea if they work. Finn is still an ass during this entire montage. Finally, after like a month, some dialogue appears, and Finn follows her into the woods and tells her not to pick something because it's poisonous. And she's like, actually, it's just fine. I've been picking them, haha, because I'm human. It doesn't affect me. Finn agrees to help her in return for making his dad happy, which is that she has rejuvenated the restaurant.
God, like months happened. Aren't like the orphanage that she used to work at is in danger, and she's
Yeah,
just
those kids are
spending
dead.
months
Oh,
here.
they're totally dead.
Like we learned all of their names. We were sympathetic. You know, I don't know. We cared about them.
Yeah.
And now we don't give a shit about any of
No.
them. We're just like, thank God that we've revitalized your restaurant / pub / motel.
In? I don't know.
Yeah.
So Finn apparently goes to the public library and brings some spells
What?
back with him. Yeah, I don't know. Some other library. He tells her a lot of things I honestly did not absorb. I don't know. It's mostly about magic and what she can see versus what he can see. And then 2 more weeks go by. They translate spells and brush fingers, and her core gets all quivery.
Ew.
And she thinks about her feelings for Finn. More weeks go by. She gets a little better at commanding the magic. Lord does a spell to see Asher and Isla in this bowl of water. They have horses now, apparently.
Okay.
So Isla is a lesbian and likes horses, which
Thank God.
obviously means that she's the real hero of this book. I'm like, Isla, really, this should have been about you. So Laura tries again with Duskmere to see it in the bowl of water, but she can't see it. So she tries again to see Gray, and she can see him because he's not in Duskmere. So Duskmere apparently is totally cut off from magic and cannot be seen.
Dude, the whole time I'm reading her doing all these side quests, I feel like Kourtney Kardashian. Like, Kim, there's people that are dying. Like, do something, Lore.
More weeks pass. We
Yeah.
don't know what's going on. Yeah. Lore finds out that Gray is being used as a pet by the Light Fae Queen. Finn and his dad tell her that he's probably eaten her food and drink and therefore will never want to leave. Sorry. Lore doesn't accept this and sneaks into the woods to save him.
This is another point in the book where I thought, oh, surely this is going to be the climax, right? Like we're going to end with her rescuing, and then the next book will pick up from that point.
Yeah. So smash cut to Lore being marched into the Queen's court on the point of a sword. How did she get here? Where did she know to go? Unknown.
Tabitha is just like making like shrug motions just all over the place.
Apparently, she tried to smuggle herself in via a cart and got caught.
What?
I
'Cause
swear.
she's dumb as shit.
I really do think a chapter was cut. Just a whole chapter
Yeah.
was lifted out of this is what I think happened, because it's the only thing that makes sense. It's such a rough cut into a new scene. Anyway, the guard brings her to the Queen because she's a human and the Queen is interested in humans. Lore drinks the wine and gets like loopy drunk super fast. But wait, she chewed some bark, which soaks up the poison and allows Lore to lure Gray out of the palace, and they escape to freedom.
Okay, so I guess it's resolved. Moving
Yeah,
on.
resolved super fast, no problem. We don't need any like of this like pre-planning or like actually executing a plan or like any sort of like obstacles in the way. Nope, we're done. We're done with that. So
No, I think I blacked out during this chapter because I remember her seeing Gray being like the queen's pet and then her being like, oh no, Gray. And then just him being back and talking to her. I don't remember this chapter at all. I don't remember her going there, drinking. I think I remember her getting drunk, but that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
it was
cares?
so
We don't
it
need
was so
chapter
fast. I was
24.
like, oh my God. So Laura takes Gray back to Finn and they detox him. So remember when they said he's never going to leave because like the food of the queen or something is addictive and he'll never be the same and he'll always want to stay there? No, not so. In fact, he's fine.
there's no stakes in this book.
No, none. So when he wakes up, Laura hugs Finn and he twirls her around. She thanks him for help with the book and decides to make Gray some broth because, you know, that's what a good hostess does.
Where are they making this stew? Like, are they in the woods
They're
right
back
now?
at the restaurant.
Oh, okay. I thought they were still in the woods, and I was like, it seems like an impractical place to cook stew. But we all know Laura's a really great cook, and she can deal with the elements that she's been given.
Oh, God. Okay, so Gray wakes up and tells her that he and many other humans from Duskmere were kidnapped by the Eleutherians. She decides that they have to go leave and to save them. So this is the climax of the book. Okay, prepare myself. All right, so Laura wakes up and finds Gray talking to some shadowy figure in their shared bedroom, discovering that it's Asher. She decides right here to like attack him sexually, and they start grinding and moaning, and Gray is there. He's just standing right there.
Ew.
He's like, I will quietly see myself out, like, you know, a rational human. Asher tells Laura that Isla and Finn are downstairs, and Gray starts knocking because, you know, this whole thing is awkward. Apparently he's like, nope, you got to come back outside. You can't have sex right now. Let's come outside. Asher says he already knows about Duskmere somehow. Ooh, how does he know?
Oh.
They draw some diagrams of the castle because you remember we're planning an escape. And Finn is super bitchy about Asher being back. And then Laura and Asher go back to bed after this like planning scene. And they fondle each other's ears.
I don't need to know about that.
Do you think Fae ears are like an androgynous zone?
I hope
Wait,
so.
is that the right?
You did it again. You did this once before in an episode. Erogenous.
Erogenous. And here it's like, I've just accepted it. And I'm like, yeah, androgynous.
God damn it. Fuck, you know what I meant.
I mean, I guess
my
they
God.
are. Ears aren't really gendered.
Shut the fuck up. Do you think they are an erogenous zone and that's why?
Because, I mean, I think that's what they're implying, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So Asher's like, you should push me away. I could hurt you in so many ways, but I can't seem to stop touching you. So, you know, foreshadowing.
You said that line, just like pure disgust.
Okay. So they have sex. And it's open door sex. And I had a lot of thoughts and feelings while I was listening to it because I was listening to the audiobook. And the sex scene is so weird and feels so out of place. I nearly died while reading it. Like, my head was in my hands. I was staring at my desk. I was cringing so hard. My whole body was curled into itself. Like, essentially, Asher licks her slit and then, quote, drew her clit into his mouth and sucked, unquote. And I had this full body disgust moment that I cannot explain. Actually, no, I can. I can totally explain it. There's a disconnect happening between the writing level and Laura's perpetual naivete and the purported audience of this book. Like, this is supposed to be an adult book, but the writing is aimed at lower YA. I'm not even talking about like higher, like we're aiming at like 18-year-olds. It's aimed at like 15-year-olds. And you can see this in how like the sentences all start the same way, like with a person's name or a pronoun usually. And like it gives it this repetitive feeling, which happens a lot in younger writing. And it's usually pointed out and fixed at the copy edit stage. Like there's like lots of repetition and it like doubles down even. So this is like, it's just a weird situation. And it's also third person past point of view, which gives us this distance. And that also happens in younger books aimed at more young audiences.
He ate her out versus he is eating her out.
Yes. So,
Good job,
or he is
Tabitha.
eating me out. Like that's
Yes.
because it's looking, usually these books are first person present or past.
Fadington Blood does that a bunch too. Like every time they're talking to people, they like say everyone's name at the beginning of every sentence. They're like Schnagel or whatever those people's names are. I can't remember. Oh, Snorri, that was one of their names. They were like, Snorri, how dare you? Snorri, over there. Yeah.
And that is also a really awkward construction, and it's all the time. And they do it in this book also. And like, I cannot say with any certainty what is really happening here, what happened with this book, but
Yeah.
the book's execution doesn't match the expectations of its audience. And therefore, when Asher goes down on Lore, my first instinct is to feel grossed out. It was like watching open door sex between teenagers, like, or teenagers I'm not even expecting to find in my house. I'm just like, what the hell are you doing in here? Get out. It made me feel gross and not good and feel like I should call the cops.
Yeah. CPS.
So first of all, I remembered this wrong. I thought she had sex with Finn. Oh, well. But this was incredibly jarring to read. I had settled into assuming this was YA by this point, and then boom, he's eating her out on a table. And I was like listening to this as the audiobook as I was like doing chores around my house, and I just stopped what I was doing and just like stood in silence and listened. Like, is this happening? This is happening.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like this sex scene was like when the lights get turned on at the end of like the high school dance, you know, like homecoming, and then you turn around and you see the sweaty boy that you've been grinding on, and then you're just like disgusted with yourself. Like, maybe that's a niche experience just to me, but
It's like, I'm sorry now.
well, never mind. But it felt like that, just very gross. Just like I turned around, I'm like, ew. This man has like the beginnings of a mustache. Like, what's happening? You know, he's like breathing down my neck and it's wet and moist. Like, ugh, get off of me. It also, the other thing I think was weird about it was very like I feel like a good sex scene is more about like the emotional aspect that happens when like you are engaging in these activities and not like, his tongue was here, and then it went here, and then this happened, and then I gasped, and then it was over. Like, I feel like this scene was very, like, factual. Like, it was like, his penis goes in here. Like, I feel like it was in, like, a health class almost.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
yeah. It did feel mostly aimed at the physical and not so much the emotional, which makes sense given who Asher really is. Like, there's the emotions... She doesn't really touch
on
their
Lore's
emotions.
side, that Lore feels for him. So you would think like there's something within there that we could see or, you know, hear about through the you know.
I think
whoever's
that is
narrating
another
this.
weakness of the book entirely, is that she never feels very firm about her relationship with Asher. Like, she is not all the time.
Yeah, which I think for like if this was fully or firmly YA would make more sense. Like, I think of like the crushes I've had. I feel like I've talked about this before. Maybe not on the podcast or whatever, but one time I dated someone in middle school for like one period. He like passed me a note in lunch and it was like, "Do you want to be my girlfriend?" And I checked yes. And then during study hall next period, I wrote him like a very lengthy note about how we had to break up because I was overwhelmed with like the emotions happening. So like I feel like that makes sense. Her being like wish-washy or like the emotions kind of going up and down would make sense for someone this age, but I wasn't like getting eaten out on the table in middle school, you know?
Yeah, right.
Don't know many people who were,
To
be honest.
We should hope no one was.
Yeah.
I think that... Fuck, what was I going to say?
That you were one of those people?
Absolutely not. I think that obviously I can't know the author's intention here, but to me, this whole part felt like, again, they were told by the editor, you need to have a sex scene. So it's like, Jesus Christ, I guess this is the place to put it. Let me write it. And it was like, whoa, whoa.
This is where I'm like, I think the romance was shoehorned into what wanted to be just a straight fantasy book. I don't think the romance was supposed to be this way. If there was a romance, it was going to be a subplot, a very like delicate subplot.
Yeah, I think if it was Fade to Black, it would even be much better. Like them macking it and then her like sitting on the table and then, you know, he kneels down or something and then like boom, fade to black. I think that would have gone over much better.
Yeah, but it was aiming at this like
details.
Yeah, but it was aimed at this adult romantasy fan base, and that's not what they want, right? They want an open door sex scene, and I think all editors know that.
Yeah,
and I think that's what they demanded.
Yeah, I'm a little confused because we know like true love interests eat out, and
Yeah, obviously.
Asher's not that though, you know.
No.
Like we're bamboozled. We're being bamboozled.
We are. We're being bamboozled, and I'm not here for it. So basically, we get this journeying chapter next. They go to the castle. Laura shows Asher, like, she apparently has stains on her hands now. Who knew? From the magic. And he's like, oh, wow, so magic. Like, again, I'm like, I didn't know this was happening.
No. I hope there's swirls.
Yeah, probably. Like, Asher's, like, so it's not Finn who has the tattoos. It's probably her. But
Yeah.
anyway, Laura wiggles into the library with Gray, and they ransack the armory that is inexplicably in the library. Gray's like, wow, can't believe there are uniforms in here. And Laura says, yeah, they aren't current, but the color and symbol are the same. So surely no one will notice us except the guards.
It's so like naive. Everything in this book.
What are you doing? So, okay, the fox from earlier, remember I said that there was a fox, distracts some guards for them out of nowhere, and they escape back to the posse. So Asher leads them to this statue that is actually a secret door, and they walk through a dark passageway. Finn is like, this is a stupid plan, and Laura tells him he doesn't have to be here. He tells her he would have gone with her to rescue Gray, and if she doesn't know why he's here, then he can't tell her. So Asher knocks out some guards outside the dungeon, but the Duskmere people aren't there, which means Asher's source is wrong. Who knew he had a source? Anyway, Laura thinks they're in the servants' quarters. They find a bunch of padlocked cribs, which seems weird. Asher says there's somewhere else they could be. Laura and Asher walk through some corridors, and Laura finds the humans in a tower using her magic, assuming that the Fae want the humans because they can't reproduce easily. She sees some women. Some women are pregnant, which is great.
This was another moment where I asked, what is the tone of this book?
Yeah.
Like, what age range is this meant for? This is really intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, apparently they're keeping some sort of camp to forcibly make women pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's become a forced breeding camp. And that's something to throw in at the end of the book.
Yeah. This is another place where I audibly gasped when I was listening to it. Like, this was super intense out of nowhere. Like, this is like handmaiden level shit. Like this, you know, not like, oh, this is a lovely book about libraries and magic and there's like danger out there. And the danger is that we're forcibly impregnating women to repopulate the earth with fae or whatever this world is.
Yeah.
And those people are people from her town was what I got from this.
Yes.
And what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
super intense. That's not the vibe of this book at all.
It isn't really. And I feel like it should have been like the vibe of the entire book, because I think that's kind of where it wanted to go, but it kept having this like cozy feeling to it a lot of the time, which
like very cottagecore.
Yeah,
when
very
they were in the
cottagecore.
inn and drinking, like doing, you know, little drinking.
yeah, the
games.
lavender and sage tonic or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so much cottagecoreness to this book that wants to be cozy, and then all of a sudden it's just like, no, there's a breeding camp. They're forcibly impregnating women.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, what? So anyway, they attack the guards and run up to the tower. The women are like, oh, thank God, let's go. Finn shows up and is all bloody. The guards are called, so Asher goes off to handle that while Laura keeps going to get the kids because there are kids involved. Only she runs into the steward, and the steward's like, you suck. Stewart also says Cyrell sucks too, and the king realized we don't need your dumb book. He agrees with the steward that they should enslave the humans and make them carry the next generation of Fae to fight the wars while the purebreds spend their time eating snacks. Finn arrives to protect Laura, and they fight. Laura tells the kids to run, then fights the steward herself, and he threatens to rape her, and she throws this poison tonic into his face, and Finn is like, good job, Laura.
The tone.
I know.
What happened here? I feel so bamboozled by this book. Like, what happened to this simple but albeit boring book that we were reading? Like, maybe that's the whole point. Maybe we were lulled into a safe space, and then just like the sudden onset of war and disaster that can happen anytime, any place to anyone is like the point. Like, you know, shit happens. to everyone.
Possible.
But also, like, that doesn't feel like the tone of the book at all. Like,
No.
or the theme, overarching theme.
Yeah,
Also, I'm
like-
so confused what happened with Finn here. I was, like, reading or listening to you, and was he, like, under a spell?
I can't remember. I think there
Okay.
might have been something going on. It's too
Great.
long.
If
I
you're
can't
gonna
remember.
have it take this dark turn at the end, you have to actually like hint at it throughout the story.
Yeah.
You have to have
Yeah.
random dark things happen so we know that that's gonna go that way.
Yes.
You can't
Yeah.
just spring it on me at the end.
So, okay. I think this is the last chapter. So they
God, I
see the fox again on their way out, and it turns into a moth.
What the fuck?
Yeah, why
and,
not? Why the fuck not at this point?
And it sits on Lore's head.
To do what?
I don't know. I
Just-
don't know. I wrote it down because I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, right. So they go meet with Asher, who has sent the kids off with Isla and Finn's dad. He tells Finn to go because Asher has to talk to Lore alone, which, again, not suspicious. Asher decides it's time to get into it with Finn, who is like, you never deceived me. Again, like, okay, if he was never deceived, I have so many questions. But Lore starts to feel like something isn't right, and Asher gets commanding with her. He's like, come here now. Okay, so Asher then lets his power like kind of roll over him, so it kind of like, imagine like a color changey shimmer or whatever, something she's only felt from the royal fae. Again, I'm not quite sure. I think something happened at the beginning, I don't really know. So then he literally changes in front of her, so gasp, he is actually Lord Cyrell. Lore, like an idiot, is like, what did you do with Asher? Where is he? And Cyrell's like, I am Asher, and I can't let you go with the book. So come with me, mouse, and I'll let Finn go.
How is she so dumb here? Like, she's been playing with magic this whole book. She's seen it happen, but she can't believe that someone would use it to like deceive her to wear a mask. Was he just that good at eating her out that she was like, oh, I don't buy it. He has to be a real guy.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he was pretty good at eating her out.
I think she was really horny.
I'm in love with every boy.
I honestly think she's probably too young to know what good eating out is.
That too. I don't know if she's ever been eaten out in her life.
He probably was down there just doing the alphabet, and she was like, "This is great." God damn.
So Laura's like, this isn't funny. And Cyrell's like, yeah, it really isn't. He's like, thanks for finding my book. It was my grandfather's. Granddad put the spell on the library. The book was supposed to come to me. Like, he was supposed to inherit this book. So he monologues about how if the book won't come to him, maybe it will come to his opposite, i.e. a weak human, because he is a super powerful fae male. And so he had to go out and find the weakest human female that he possibly could. And he's like, work with me so long as you do as I say. Lore still has a lot of questions about his lies.
Same.
He's like, look, I've been changing myself into Asher for a long time because I get bored and sometimes cosplay as a commoner.
Just like reverse Aladdin.
Yeah. So Cyrell freezes her in place with magic. She, Finn, and the book are staying right here. And then, like, basically there's a mwahaha scene.
Yeah.
And, like, he wants her to lead him to the book's sister book, because apparently there are two. The Book of Sunbeams. And he's like, go to sleep. Tomorrow we're going to go on another journey. We're going to look for sister book. To be continued. Then it ends. And that's it.
Wow.
That is the book, which is, I don't even, as I read all of this out again and had this conversation with you, I'm even more confused about what this book was trying to do.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, so I don't think this is a bad book, honestly. I think it was a super confused book that got even more confused in editing and therefore made it a poorly executed book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's strongest at the beginning when it's closer to what I think it wanted to be about, which is like stolen history, finding your hidden power, all of these things that totally got missed somehow in like at about the third mark and on. Like, I don't think it really didn't know what to do with itself at a certain point.
No.
But I really think it was sabotaged in the editing process. At least to me, that's what I feel is happening here. And again, maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't really know. But Yeah, the open door sex scene was terrible. I don't want to read that ever again. And it just wasn't written for the right age group. And I think deep down it wanted to be a cozy fantasy, but someone demanded there be sex and like SJM brand trauma, and that just ruined the whole vibe. Plot's not cohesive. It especially is evident when Laura seemingly stops moving the story forward and becomes a chef. I don't know where that was going. The romantic tension between the two love interests was non-existent. I didn't feel that at all. I always thought Asher was someone else. I knew he was lying the entire time. I just didn't know if he was Lord Cyrell or not. It's like he's either Lord Cyrell or someone else with an agenda. He is not who he says he is. So it was just like, this is very clear to me that he's not going to be the love interest in book 2. I know this. I don't know. The pacing's hot and cold. I never got into the story. I don't know. There was so much wrong with this. I wanted to love it is the thing.
Yeah.
I really did. I was like, look at this. Look at this beautiful cover. Look at these characters. I want it to be good, and it wasn't. I was just confused.
Yeah. There's a lot of hype around it at the beginning.
There was a lot of hype, and then I realized that it was I don't know what it is.
Tabitha, what'd you think?
So all of my points we have already talked about, which is that it was clearly a YA book that was forced to be kind of bumped up to new adult. So stuff was added or taken out. Sex scene was added. Like I said, that is very much what it feels like. I don't know what happened, obviously, but the pacing was very odd. It got very fast at times. It felt like we were just like skimming through a list of plot points. Like I would have liked to have seen how she got to the Fairy Queen's court and saved her friend.
Yeah,
that would have been nice.
I would have loved that.
Like, why did we leave the library?
Yeah, and then sorry, go ahead.
Why did we work at a tavern for a while? Like nothing had time to really develop any kind of flavor. Like you could never like settle into one particular vibe. So yeah, again, I just feel like the issues occurred in editing.
Yeah, I agree completely with you both. The way it's written feels so YA, and like a third of it, like thematically, feels YA. But then people have sex on page, like very suddenly, and then it goes back to being calm for a bit, and then bang, like body horror straight in your face. Like it feels like you walked into the wrong theater after rushing off to the bathroom, like mid-movie. Like you were watching like a very cute Disney movie, like, and then you come back and it's like Saw 3 or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like nothing happened except a lot of things actually happened. They just didn't matter, you know?
Yeah, or they didn't happen in like sequential order that you understood.
Right. Yes. So I think it would be a really good book if I was 13 and certain scenes were changed. But I've said this before, I'm not a fan of YA, and this whole thing felt very YA. Like, I think if the weird, like, prisoned, impregnated women scene was, like, changed a bit, and like the sex scene was fade to black, I think it all would kind of flow a little bit better. Even as is, if those just two things changed, I think it would just be a little bit better. Just because it would feel like it was written for just like one audience. But yeah, I don't know. It was all over the place, I think.
So do we have recommendations that would be a better alternative to this book?
So I don't know. I was thinking about what I would recommend, and I wound up thinking about young adult books, because I think there have been a good batch of young adult books that do what this book is trying to do, just better. So thinking about this, A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown is a fantasy duology, much like this one, inspired by West African folklore in which a grieving crown princess and a refugee find themselves on a collision course to murder each other despite their growing attraction, which I think is, again, what this book was kind of aiming at doing, but didn't manage it. It is absolutely YA and no category confusion. That's what it is. I also recommend Ray Bearer by Jordan Ifweko and Legend Born by Tracy Dion. Legend Born, I think everybody knows that one, but if you haven't read it, it's a huge breakout young adult novel. These are all people of color, all Black books, and please go out and read them. I think they are worlds better than this one. I think whoever edited those books knew the job. So yeah, those are good ones. Go for it.
So it has been ages since I've read a young adult book, but a book that I read recently that I felt like had a similar kind of feel to this book, but was much more well constructed, was Sorcery and Small Magic. Two guys in magic school who hate each other are paired together and have a spell go awry, and that leaves one essentially under the thrall of another one, and they have to venture hither and yon to find a cure. I was thinking about why I thought this was similar, because obviously the plot isn't, and I think it's because they spend a lot of time in the woods. There's magic and there's forests.
Okay.
Yeah.
We love those.
I have no recommendations.
It was hard enough to get through this book for you.
I know.
Yeah, I was
To
gonna
have
say
recommendations.
Yeah, I've recently been reading a lot of like contemporary sports romance. Says like my palate cleanser.
Have you read Deep End yet?
No, I still don't have it from the library. I'm still in like 5
And
weeks
it's about
out.
swimming too.
I know. I was a swimmer in high school.
This is an aside before we get to the end, but Maura and I had a whole debacle where we both read Deep End, and I, it's about BDSM. That's like the kind of sex
It's
that they
like
have in it.
subdom. Yeah.
And I finished the book and was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. At least there was no anal.
Yeah.
There was, apparently. Maura was like, why didn't you warn me about the anal? And I'm like, what? I blacked out, I guess, and like completely refused to acknowledge that part of the book.
I was just like, did you forsake me? What's going on?
Like full anal or just like a finger?
Oh
in the
yeah,
butt?
full anal. Yeah, without
Like
lube.
I said, I think I blacked out.
Yeah,
Without lube?
without lube. He just goes right in there.
I mean, I guess it's BDSM, so. I know.
So back to Lore of the Wild. Who are we?
So I'm Milo, the hardy orphan child that wants to cuddle with Lore because, like, I just want to be held.
I can barely remember anyone in this story, but I think maybe Gray. Like, it figures that I'd leave my house to help somebody and end up in a situation. I also have been made awkward by my friends grinding in front of me, so we got that.
Oh my gosh. I don't know anyone in this book. I don't know. Maybe Isla. Like, I can't remember one detail about her except apparently she likes horses and she's a lesbian, which doesn't actually align
She's
with me
spunky
at all.
though. She's a really spunky
I was
character.
gonna say, I think she was like fun compared to Lore. I don't
Yeah.
know if it was like the narrator, but Lore just seemed kind of like boring.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think Isla was the real hero. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, me, main character moment.
Okay, well, that's Lore of the Wilds, everybody. And I'm not saying don't read it, but just be prepared for some confusion if you do.
Maybe wait to see what
Or-
else the author comes out
Yeah.
Or
If you're
maybe-
gonna read an Analeigh Sbrana book, don't read this one. Read her third book, whichever
Yeah.
one that's going to be. So if you have a hot take or book you'd like us to recap, you can message us on our socials. You can find the links on our show notes. If you like us, please rate us and leave us comments and reviews. It makes us so happy to read your comments. You guys, you are all so funny and insightful. So until next time, bye.
Bye.